past 2 years have radically changed travel and accelerated the mutation of our industry. We are entering in a new travel era. I will share some key facts and figures to start with. Then I will invite 4 of my colleagues from our airline, hospitality, DMC business units to join me for a panel discussion. To start with, let's look at the world of travel today. Let's start by saying that the worst is behind us. Travel is coming back strongly and coming back to pre-Omicron levels. However, business travel is still constrained by restrictions and new habits such as remote working or teleconferencing. Those habits have big impact on business travel recovery in the long run. We can see that vaccination campaigns have been relatively successful worldwide, and 65% of the world population has received at least one shot. Now, if we look at our recovery tracker data, starting with air recovery, as you can see, seat capacity is back at 78%, load factor 69%, and revenue per kilometer for airlines at 54%. If we look at hotel recovery, we see that the recovery is at different levels. Middle East and Africa is leading the way with 54%. Then by NORAM, and the region which is lagging behind is Asia. Why? Because there's a lot of restrictions imposed by government. Let's look at global air bookings now. And if we compare Q1 2022 and Q1 19, the global GDS recovery is at minus 48% of 2019 level. Recovery across the world, as you can see, is not even due to greater impact of the pandemics in certain regions and travel restrictions imposed by the government. For example, in Asia, you see we are still at minus 75% of 19 levels. Africa, however, is showing the strongest recovery in terms of GDS, Global Distribution System air volumes. We are at minus 27% compared to 19 level. And we have some countries in Africa like Nigeria or Ethiopia that are already back at 19 level. Combined, Middle East and Africa, we are at minus 41% of 19 level. So signs are positive. Now, if we look at the demand, so incoming traffic first, air search demand to the GCC region has been growing since the start of the year, and since March increasing, with the last 2 weeks of April experiencing a plus 10% increase. Now let's look at outgoing traffic. Air search demand to global destinations made from GCC countries has been also growing since the start of the year, and especially since the beginning of April. The last 2 weeks of April experienced a plus 33% increase, and this is more likely due to the Eid holidays. When diving into the actual market share and measuring each destination weight from the GCC country, we see that most of the searches are coming from the UAE, followed by Saudi, then Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, and Bahrain. Now, if we look at where people are searching for, which destination, we see that first it's India, then Egypt, Philippines, USA, Pakistan, and UK. And it's clearly people visiting families for the Eid holidays. Now, if we remove those destinations, we see that most of the travelers from the GCC countries are searching for destinations such as USA, UK, Turkey, Saudi as well. And this highlights the fact that now restrictions are less a problem for travelers to go far, even long haul. If we look at hotel occupancy trends, they are also looking very promising, with occupancy level in the GCC region exceeding the worldwide levels, as you can see with the red line. When it comes to the hotel occupancy recovery, the trends are also very promising. We can see that in mid-March, occupancy in the GCC region peaked at 82%, which is very high, and that the trends are stronger than 2020 and 2021. So we see an acceleration of the recovery in the GCC region, which is good for all of us. Now let's have a look at travelers. We can clearly say they are keen on traveling, and they are very, very open to technology as a mean and support to make travel safe. We have seen this throughout the pandemic. People, all of us, we want to travel. 73% of travelers in the UAE want to travel this year. 59% expect to make a business trip. So it's a good sign as well for business travel recovery. Now, if we look at technology, it has been crucial for travel recovery. Throughout the pandemic, we've seen an increasing acceptance and faith in technology. Digital health passports have become the key technology for the recovery of the travel. When asked about the willingness to provide or to share personal data, the survey we've done shows that 95% of travelers will be willing to provide personal data for the use of digital health passports or certificates. Why? Because they want to streamline the boarding travel process when they travel in airports. When asked which technology will increase confidence to travel in the next 12 months, mobile solutions continue to be the most popular, with the top technologies including mobile application that provide on-trip notification and alerts at 48%, self-service check-in at 49%, and mobile boarding at 44%. Mobile application and contactless technology have remained top technologies across all our studies. Now, let's look at the future. What do we see as key topics for 22 onward? We've identified some key trends. Some of them have been around for a long time, but started to accelerate. Others are in early technology stages. But the signals are clear. Many of the topics, such as climate change, digital transformation, carbon neutrality, health passports, extend far beyond the travel industry. Digitalization, sustainability, interconnectivity, collaboration represent massive challenges for our industry in the coming years. All those challenges have one thing in common. They are complex by nature. Our industry is becoming more and more complex. Complexity stems from three factors. Interdependency on a global level. We cannot solve these problems as individual company or as one industry. The entire traveler journey is involved. This needs a completely transversal approach. Challenges go back to systemic issue. We have been acting historically at silos, so we need to break those silos. We need a new approach that consistently puts travelers in the center, gives answer to the new question: how can we together as a travel industry improve the lives of travelers? And how do we get there? So, for that, I will ask Delphine Herman to come on the stage, and she will moderate a panel discussion on how do we get there. Thank you, Delphine.
Thank you, Jamel. Good morning, ATM. Thank you. Jamel, you set the scene of this new travel era and the transformation it's going through, the expectations of the travelers, how they have changed, the challenges that have, came up, the emergence of some trends, the acceleration of technology. So I think it does require a whole discussion around it to see how travel players can play a role in this new travel era and the technologies that are becoming essential for success. So let me call our colleagues here. Please, gentlemen, come and join us. Hello. So before we start our discussion, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brent Roberts. I'm the Director of Sales for the DMO Destinations team at Amadeus. My background is from San Francisco in digital marketing for the last 18 years, working with brands and media agencies to really create brand engagement and customer lifetime value.
Hi, my name is Cem Çetinturk. I'm the RVP for Amadeus Hospitality for Middle East, Africa, and Turkey. And I've been in the company for the last 22 years, previously called TravelClick. And I have in the area from all the way down from South Africa and all the way up to Istanbul. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Christophe Roux. I'm head of airlines for Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. I'm based in Dubai. And I've been in this industry for 21 years, working for Amadeus, and as well I worked for airlines.
And Jamel already introduced himself. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for being here. You're all Amadeus. However, you work with a variety of travel players. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and I want you to answer with your business domain hats on, okay? So the 3 angles we're going to tackle in our discussions are personalization, collaboration, and sustainability. 3 themes that are at the heart of the discussions today. For those of you who were in the previous panel, I mean, you heard the panelists discuss already around these themes. So, first question to you, gentlemen. The notion of personalized travel experience is not new. It was already at the heart of the discussion before the pandemic. Do you believe or do you feel that it now has a whole new meaning? Let's start with you, Brent.
Yes, personalization has always been a key component of digital marketing and advertising, and the value of it is to be able to reach specific audiences at specific times. We found that during the pandemic, a lot of our DMOs wanted to interact with their audiences, but they wanted to do it in a healthy, responsible, and impactful way. And then in many cases, they also wanted to reach a new kind of visitor. So, for example, Turismo di Tenerife is one of our long-term partners, and they wanted to take a data-driven approach to identify who was their new audience, who did they really want to go after for the long term. So they created targeted campaigns, but then specifically creative messaging that spoke to each one of these audience demographics. And then what they were able to do is through these targeted approaches and then an analysis of the campaigns, they were able to see who they were resonating with that was coming to Tenerife based on the things they cared about, like outdoor activity, nature, respect of the environment, and the unique experiences they had to offer. So they were able to see through the very specific targeting and creative messaging who resonated, how they were doing in key markets across audiences, and importantly, how they were doing across their core competition. Personalization, though, isn't also only about the customer, it's also about the DMO. One size does not fit all in our DMO world. And, you know, for example, we work with a lot of global offices promoting the same destination. The German National Tourism Board, DISIT, is a good example of this because the individual stakeholders have a lot of different needs, and personalizing those responses and strategies helps them win in their home markets and deliver the right results.
Thank you. We can clearly see the role of analyzing data to refine the strategies, to better target customers. So now, Jamel, how do you think travel agencies can take personalization to a whole new level?
Look, after this crisis, I mean, personalization is even more important in order for travel agencies to increase revenue and increase loyalty. Customers are expecting that, you know. So at Amadeus, we are the center of the travel industry. We work with airlines, hoteliers, with car rental companies, and we have all this data in terms of inspiration, in terms of search, book, in terms of after-sales disruptions. And as part of our new cloud strategy, we've signed, as you know, with Microsoft, and we're going to migrate all our systems on the Microsoft Cloud. We are as well working with Microsoft in partnership to use all their technology and their AI in particular in order to combine all this data we have and put, as we said, the traveler at the center of the experience of what we do, so that you can imagine that someone who is traveling, let's say, to Paris, has booked a hotel, flight, a car, and you can imagine that the flight is rescheduled. Okay, we know this information, so we can inform the car rental company that they need to change maybe the pickup time or the checkout time at the hotel, so that we make all this experience more seamless for the traveler. And we know that customer who is happy will come back and will spend more also. So yes, I think personalization is going to be data-driven in the future, and we have a key role as Amadeus with our investment to bring this capability to our travel agency partners.
So it is indeed about reaching out or getting hold of the right data, of shared data, and analyzing it to better understand the customers, right? Jem, what about hotels? How do they personalize the guest experience?
Oh, thank you very much. Hospitality, in the hospitality part, the personalization has been long buzzword, and the hotels were trying to bring the personalized guest experience into the guests, but that challenge was not necessarily solved in the past years, and that challenge still continues in the hospitality sector. One of the fundamental reason, because all these systems are sitting in a different platforms. This is the central booking system, customer relation management, property management, and then the other optimization services in the hotel, and even is the web, even is the media, or they are talking to the different angle from the guest, but they are not necessarily talking to guests from one single view. And no amount of necessarily getting the add-ons, plugs in, and selling the something will solve this problem, because the problem is in the legacy technology. Hotels still is trying to get into the next level. At Amadeus, we're focused on closing this gap and to bring the different platforms at the core, and then bring the unified guest view. Then hotels can make an intelligent decision and provide a better guest experience. Obviously, at the end of the day, is a better stream of revenue coming to the hotel. One of the examples we have done in recently, it was Village Hotels in UK, which we created these systems talking to each other, and we helped them to have the membership program and with the offers. Within a month, Village Hotels had 26,000 additional room nights, which represents $1.4 million. So this was a good success for the hotel. Another on the personalized, which you will hear more, is the attribute selling. Attribute selling is the next big thing in the hospitality industry. And because the attribute selling is not only bringing some add-ons into rooms revenue, but bringing the out of the hotel experience into the revenue stream and the hospitality sector, like golf booking, tour bookings, etc.
Thank you, Jem. So here again, there's a high need for platform integration, cloud-based solution, that's another keyword that we keep hearing through the discussions between industry players. Christophe, what about airlines? What does personalization mean to them?
Yeah, so I think for airlines, personalized travel experiences, they are aiming towards that. It fits under the wider umbrella of digital transformation, which is maybe a wider topic. This was there before COVID. Airlines were preparing for it. We are working with them to prepare for it. And I think the drivers for airlines were mainly twofold. I think the first one is the digital giants. So consumers are getting used to the type of experience they have in terms of booking a service, delivering a service, etc. And in terms of usage of data and easiness of doing things. So they are looking at the experience they have with companies like Amazon, Netflix, Uber, and the likes. And consumers, when they go and interact with the airline, they expect something similar. So, and that's clearly there. So that's a big driver. Airlines are realizing that, and they are investing in this accordingly. That's the main driver. The second one is more in terms of competition. So we all know low-cost carriers have been very prominent, and they keep rising. And as a full-service carrier airline, you really need to do something better. So, and better is not just the product on board, it's all the service around, and it includes as well the systems, the digital, etc. So this is what is there. Now, funny enough, this push from the consumers during the COVID was not there so much, because the travelers were just, I mean, in a way happy that they're able to fly, and it was more down to the basics, or can I change a ticket, can I get a refund, etc. Can I get information of what I require to travel to this country? But now in the recovery, these pressures are coming back very strongly. And so what we see is airlines, we're working with airlines to start to prepare, because I think it's going to be more and more.
Thank you. So yes, indeed, the importance of user experience, the importance of getting loyal customers, and all that with the right data analysis, the right integrated platform, cloud-based solutions, etc. So obviously, this calls for collaboration between systems, collaboration between industry players, and beyond. So it takes me to my second question. Jamel, you mentioned it in your presentation. You talked about the need for this collaboration to break silos. It's a very big word, but it's a reality as well. So, gentlemen, from your point of view, what is needed to get there? And yeah, Jamel, let's hear you first.
Okay, so I mean, look, at the beginning of this crisis, we saw that collaboration was key to ensure that our industry survives. Collaboration between public and private sector. We know that without this collaboration, a lot of actors of our industry would have struggled to go through and to survive until now. So that was, I think, maybe the first time we saw such a level of collaboration in all countries. All politicians have had the same, have the same, not idea, but initiative, which is let's support our travel ecosystem, because they generate a lot of revenue, they create a lot of jobs, and that was the first reaction. So that involved collaboration between private, public sectors, involving as well associations, travel associations, and that helped us reach where we are now, where we see that travel is getting back, is reviving. We see this year ATM, is full compared to last year, less restrictions, and all that as well requires collaboration and interoperability. We know that, for example, if you take the example of health passport or health certificate verification, each country has its own standards, and we know that if we want, as a global industry, to accelerate the recovery and to get back in terms of traveler experience to that frictionless, seamless travel experience, we need to digitalize. And in order to digitalize, we need to share data, so break the silos, and we need to create connections between systems, national systems, health systems, and travel technology systems such as airline systems or check-in or travel agency systems in order to make that traveler journey seamless and to get back to where we were before the pandemic started, so get back as soon as possible to 2019 level. So for me, collaboration now from a technological perspective is going to be key, and opening and sharing data between all players in a secure, obviously, and we need to ensure confidentiality as well, but it's key to accelerate the recovery and to capture that new way of traveling, to make sure that all systems at Amadeus with all our partners are coping with travelers' expectations.
It's true that we've witnessed levels of collaboration that were far above what the industry was doing before. Christophe, how do you feel airlines are taking that commitment to not just look at the flight part, but to look at the whole traveler experience end to end?
Yeah, I think this is indeed a key point. So I think there's two things. First of all, yes, they want to work in the ecosystem that is relevant to them. For example, in Dubai, we have an ecosystem, so you need to work with all the players in order to provide the right service. But as well, they need to work on the ecosystem to personalize even their own journey, right? And that is, the ecosystem includes the traditional players in the industry, such as airports, governments, and so on, as Jamel mentioned. But as well, there's a need for collaboration with new players, so with the tech giants. So you need to work with them because they are very relevant. You also need to look at new ways, work with startups. There's a lot of startups that are going into travel. They can provide add value, so you need to see how you can leverage this new talent to bring innovation. And I think in Amadeus, so of course we are all about collaboration, and we have all these touch points and as you can see it on the panel. But as well, specifically for airlines, we are to join the previous topic of personalized travel experience. It's not enough to work only with the airline data. So the airline have a lot of data, and it needs to be exploited. But as well, you need to create these connectivities between platforms, right? So we have an airline platform. So we're working on collaboration with other platforms, such as customer experience platform like Adobe, CRM systems like Salesforce, and as well Microsoft, working a lot with Microsoft, as Jamal mentioned, to bring AI in the different touch points. So the idea is to connect the data between these different systems, so that because you have different providers managing different touch points, they can leverage rich data and then personalize. So that's one key area which we are working on. And as well, another one that's key, and this is more on the topic of innovation, is to work on innovation programs. So we've seen airlines sponsoring innovation programs a lot this year. So for example, we are working with the Interlac Innovation Program here in Dubai, with Dubai Tourism, Emirates, and I think Microsoft and Accenture are also part of this. So we're part of this to support collaboration with universities, as well with startups and so on. And we have other programs. Royal Maroc is also launching an event. 2 weeks ago, they launched an event, so we're also working with them on that.
You gave a keyword, ecosystem, and I guess the travel ecosystem today is not just the traditional travel players, but as you said, Christophe, it does go way beyond our industry. So that's to be considered, as well as innovation, again, as you mentioned, Christophe, to always be one step ahead and to be able to anticipate what's coming. So, Brent, what about destinations? How are they collaborating with other players?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've known for a long time that we're all in this ecosystem together with airlines, hotels, accommodations, tour operators. We're all in this together, and Jamal said it best. We're dependent on each other as we move forward in this new normal for the traveler. It's great working with destinations and DMOs because at the end of the day, in most cases, their stakeholders are airlines, are hotels. And when we work with them through campaigns and targeted data to attract and inspire a visitor, most of the time that's an air booking, that's an accommodation booking, that's tours, that's extra experiences there. And that's important because at the end of the day, our core goal is to drive economic value at the local economy level, and we do that through the combined stakeholders. In my world, in the advertising ecosystem, though, it's not only just about connecting to a consumer campaign, it's also travel sellers. You know, they're a big part of what we do, and by influencing and educating and staying top of mind with just a single agent and travel seller, you can actually generate many, many incremental bookings. So it's important to always, even though they're industry experts, keep them in mind, the ecosystem of how we reach out, how we engage and bring visitors. One of our long-term clients, ProColombia, they run unified campaigns, which is really great for Amadeus because we're uniquely able to run these campaigns in a unified sense, where they're reaching not only targeted consumers, but targeted travel sellers in their core origin markets. And working in the campaigns together and holistically, it produces greater return than the individual components.
So it is about considering all the stakeholders involved, not just the traveler's perspective. Very interesting. And to you, Jem, what about hotels and on the topic of collaboration?
Hospitality industry often described as fragmented, whereas the Amadeus Airlines success comes from the addressing this fragmentation successfully and remove the fractions and provide the consistent delivery. Hotel industry has different sector in its own. For example, the big box conference hotels or the city hotels, resorts, B&Bs, boutique hotels, they all have each its idiosyncrasies. And then addressing those, it's not an easy job because it's their ownership model is different, their price model is different, their competitors are different, and the addressing audience is different. To bring all these, the moving parts together, creating a hospitality platform with the different partners needs a better collaboration, and to work with them, all the other parts, that the other technology partners that can connect and create a one single unified guest view, then the hotels can capitalize on the one single guest view, bring them together, and obviously bring the better revenue. However, this is not an easy job because then the hospitality industry needs a strong partner to spend on the research and development, to work with the other partners and to provide the solutions, where we are working on it.
So it is, yes, collaboration between systems, between players. And since we are talking about how to achieve this better collaboration, it takes me to our third and last question, which is around sustainability in travel. So big topic as well, again at the heart of the discussions. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, our industry is responsible for between 8 and 11% of the total world carbon emissions. So, knowing this, we also know that IATA has established a very ambitious target of the net zero carbon emissions by 2050. How do we achieve this? As I said, it is an ambitious target. So I will start with you, Christophe. We know that in the travel industry, again, according to the WTTC, airlines are responsible for 17% of these travel-related carbon emissions. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, again, coming with the airline hat, I think it's a topic they take very, very seriously because we start to see that pattern of travel shame and so on. So they know it's not just cosmetic; they have to do more than cosmetic. So in the end, it's going to affect the numbers. So that's why they are pushing towards that. Now the solutions are not so obvious. We start to see initiatives. I think the main one that I see trending now on the market is the sustainable aviation fuel, which airlines are very keen on because it doesn't require necessarily a structural change in how they operate. So, so now I think the demand for sustainable aviation fuel is higher than the availability. So, but they are very keen to go on that. while it's been slow so far, I think this will pick up very, very soon. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there was news last week about Airbus A380 doing up to 3 hours flight purely on sustainable aviation fuel. So I mean that's looking quite good. And then further than that, there will be the more disruptive things which will be coming. Maybe new engines that are either battery powered or with hydrogen and so on. So this is a bit more long-term thing. So, but in the shorter term, sustainable aviation fuel plus, of course, the new aircrafts that are coming right now on the market are much more efficient. And sustainability, of course, for airlines will be beyond that. It's what they use, the material they use on board of the aircraft, and so on. And offering as well the travelers with options to offset the carbon footprint for the booking process. So these are things which I think are coming in airlines and perhaps on travel sales as well.
Yes, it definitely touches all aspects of the travel experience. Brent, what role can destinations play towards a more sustainable approach to tourism?
Yeah, I mean, sustainability and over-tourism has been a topic for us for years. I think one of the things that we really do to help destinations out is provide forward-looking data. So for them having insights on arrivals and who's coming for the next 12 months, they're better able to make adjustments and plan accordingly. When you spot some of these challenges, you can work with the individual stakeholders, and again, breaking down the silos, you can work with transportation, infrastructure, accommodation, and try to plan ahead and alleviate some of the challenges that presents. It also gives destinations a chance, when they have this foresight into demand by market and seasonality, to give them an opportunity to plan in a sustainable way, to make sure that they're not only just reaching a customer, but reaching the right visitor. And by doing that, you're removing some of the over-tourism that happens during peak season, spreading it out through the course of the whole year, and just really, at the end of the day, allowing them to understand the correlation between demand, bookings and conversions, and then lead travel time to put yourself in a winning position where you can make adjustments for sustainability.
Yeah, so redirecting tourist masses to indeed overcome mass tourism, that's very interesting. Promoting sustainable development plans. So there are a lot of initiatives in place. Jem, what about hotel properties? What are guests expecting from hotels when it comes to sustainability?
Over the last decade, the sustainability is very important for the guests. When they are making booking, they are checking what is the hotel's efforts on sustainability. They are making comparison, and they are making the booking accordingly. And this trend is going to continue on. And how the hotels is addressing this one, because first they start with some renewable items. So you're seeing that they are changing the items. They are saying that we are using these renewable items, and they are locally sourcing even the food and beverage. So you might be even seeing in Dubai, it's saying that these are locally sourced. So because it's a less carbon emission. And what we are seeing from our clients, for example, Hilton this year introducing a net zero hotel. And another client of ours, MGM Resorts, they have the largest contiguous solar array on their rooftops, and plus they installed 1.4 million LED energy efficient bulbs, and to bringing the sustainable efforts. And these are some examples, and there are many, but the hospitality industry in a big way on this one. And if it comes to us on the Amadeus, our software, hot sauce housekeeping and maintenance service optimization, for example, provide last year that annually that we are made the calculation, $3.7 million worth of paper usage we save through this optimization software.
Yeah, so there are impressive initiatives put in place by hotels, and we can here again see the great role played by technology. Jamel, what about travel sellers?
Look, first, I mean, this discussion about sustainability and carbon neutrality, I think it's something that concerns us all. Huh? We want to leave a better planet for our kids, for the future generation, and we know that our industry, travel industry, in order for this industry to continue developing, thriving, it needs to be sustainable, needs to respect the environment. We all as individuals now are, as my colleague said, very concerned about waste management, about plastic usage. If you go to a hotel or a beach, you see a bottle of plastic, it disturbs you. It's something that hurts you. So it's something that as individuals, we are all caring about, probably more than before. We are more sensitive about those things, about as well carbon emission. Christophe mentioned the airlines, over-tourism, like destination like Venice or Barcelona. We've all heard in the news where the local people are complaining. I mean, it's an issue that needs to be tackled. And for this issue to be tackled, it's a global issue. It cannot be just dealt with by travel sellers or by the travel industry. It's global, and it's something that is, I think, at the heart of the challenges that we need to overcome as an industry. So we all have to do things, I think, at our level as individuals, as travelers, but also as companies. And at Amadeus, what we are doing is we are already carbon neutral for our main data center in Germany, Erding. So our main data center is already carbon neutral. It's a pledge we took and we achieved. We are looking, like any company, as how we can optimize our energy consumption, waste management in all our offices worldwide, how we can reduce our carbon footprint. We are measuring for each employee how what's the carbon footprint of each employee and see how we can reduce it. And we are aiming to be, as a company, carbon neutral by 2030. To answer your question, which with IATA has set a target for the airline industry to be carbon neutral by 2050. We, as Amadeus, targeting 2030, so well in advance, because we feel that as individuals, as consumers, is something that is at the heart of our I think, concerns, and we need to do things. We need to act upon it faster, as fast as we can, actually.
I think it's amazing to see that in the industry there are already tangible initiatives that are already bringing results when it comes to sustainability. And I think you said it, Jamel, it's a global issue. No one can do it alone. So here again, it requires greater collaboration within our industry, but far beyond as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for this very insightful conversation. I feel there's just so much more we could say. So basically, as a final word, I think we can all agree that the red thread throughout this conversation was definitely collaboration. And everyone's encouraged to indeed collaborate and make it work, and to so that this, we're progressing and advancing in this new travel era. Thank you very much. I hope you find it inspiring.